Hi, I'm Knut. I'm a developer advocate at Sanity.io, and in this video, I'll show you how to make external links with open in new window option and internal links that lets you choose internal content. I will also show you how to make serializers for this in the front end in order to get this working on a website. So here we have the blog starter from sanity.io/create. And as you can see, there are links here already. So these are external links that you can put a URL into. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes you want these external links to open in a new window or tab. And for that, you need something called target blank in HTML. So what I thought we could do is to start adding this option to the external link and then see how we can add internal links to the studio. On my right hand side, I have the schemas for the studio and I have the portable text field that you can see here and the definitions. And a link in portable text is actually something we call marks. Marks are properties that can be put into the spans, and I can show you the data structure for this in a moment. And marks comes in two types, either decorators, which are just simple string values, or annotations, which are actually data objects. So if we look at the data here and into the body, you can see something called mark defs, mark definitions. And these are the actual data structure for the links. There are some keys here, and if we scroll down, we can see that these keys are put in as marks for the span, which the link are connected to. So portable text have a mark, which is the key for this link. So that's kind of the connection. Here we have the link object definition. And in order to add something like open in a new window or tab, we can just add a field to this definition. So I add a field. Like this. We can call it blank. And the type can be a boolean. It's either open in a new window or don't open in a new window. So that's it. I will save and this will reload. And if we click this, we can see that we have a new option. So I can click this and I can click this, and if you see in the data structure now, that we can see that we have blank true for those links I just enabled. Right. So now I will publish these changes so that the new blank property is actually available on the public API. And now we want to try to render this in a front end. So I have prepared a simple React app here. And what happens is that we fetch this post I just edited, and we put the post into a page component. And this page component is just a simple React component. It has the document. It renders the document data just as a raw JSON string, as you can see here. And I have imported something called blog content to React. This name will probably change soon. I've called it portable text. And the portable text component takes a property called blocks. And the blocks are the body, the rich text that we just edited. So this data structure that we just looked at. And if we reload this, we should be able to see the new changes. So here we have the blank true thing, like this. Now this actually won't open a new tab because we haven't told React to how to render this link yet. The first thing we have to do is to make a serializer. So I will do that. What we just edited was marks. So this take marks, and the mark we want to change, the mark type is called link. And it gets some props, and let's just begin with just rendering those props in order to see what we get. Like this. And then we have to add the serializer to the component here. Yeah, so what happened now is that the link was overwritten by this pre-tag, and we can see the data. So we have some children with the actual text content. We have the mark with the data we need, and we have a mark key that we don't need to do anything with. What we are interested in is the children and the mark. So let's destructure that. Like this. And change this with the A tag. So this should be mark, and I don't remember the key actually, so let's just take a bet, and here we will have children. So let's take a look at the mark definition again. Yeah, so it was href. And now we also want the blank property. Let's say that if mark blank is true, then you should render this with target blank like this, and if it's not undefined or false, it should just render this normal link. So let's see if this works. I will open this in a new window, and yeah, as you can see, it opened in a new window like this. But this should not. Yeah, cool. One thing to be aware of when we have this target blank attribute is that it has some security concerns connected to it. There can be some malicious JavaScript that enters your page and does some things that you probably not want it to do. So in order to prevent that, you can add this rel attribute and write no opener and no referrer like this, and this should be enough to prevent the security concerns. So now we have the open in a new tab window functionality. So let's continue with the internal link system. Now we will go back to the studio and the schema definitions and add a new annotation for internal links. Now we want a new annotation. We will begin with adding this. Let's call it internal link. It needs to be an object. And in this case, an internal link is just a reference to another, let's say another post in the blog. Let's just call this item. It will be a reference, and it will be a reference to the type post. You can, of course, if you have more types that you want to be able to link to, you can just add these in this array. So I know saved, and if we scroll down, we have a new button here, this sanity icon, and we can push this, and we get this model, and we can choose one of the other posts like this. So if we go back to the data and look at the mark definitions, we can see that we have the link definitions, but we have a new one called internal link. it has an item, and the item is a reference with a referenced ID. So far, so good. So how do we deal with these internal links in the front end? Let's find that out. We will reload this just to make sure that we have the new link. Yes, here we have it. So if you had a routing system where you use these IDs for the routing, you can just reuse this ID straight away. But let's pretend that we don't have that. That the way we are navigating around the content is by slugs, for example. Then we want to be able to get to this slug behind this reference. So if you are using Grok, which is the query language that comes with Sanity, you can actually resolve this reference in the query. So here's the Grok query that fetches this data. And the first thing we have to do is to make something called a projection. A projection is where you can pick which fields you want to have in the result, and you can also do joins and other stuff. And now we want to do a join inside of this array and with these mark definitions. So this is my projection. I will first choose all the fields. Then I will specify that it should loop through the body field and project something there. And I will also choose all the fields in body. But for mark definitions, which also is array, so this will loop through all the mark definitions and return all the fields in them, like this. But now I want to tell the query that in the case we have an internal link, you should do something with the item field. You should resolve this item field. So then I will put in something called a select. So it looks like this. Now we say if the type is internal link, do whatever is inside these curly brackets. First of all, I still want all the fields. Perhaps I need them. And then I want to make a slug from the referenced documents slug field. So then I will pick this field. I'll go to item and ask Sanity to return the whole document actually. So if you see here, we can see that we have slug and we have the whole document that we referenced. But we don't need the whole document, we just need the slug field. So let's just say slug, and then we should be able to have just the slug. Yeah. So here we have the internal link, we still have the item reference, and then we have the slug field, which is picture perfect cropping with hotspots. So that's good. You can also do string concatenation. So if you wanted an absolute URL, you can also make that in the query. So if you do like this, we can say HTTP my awesome site at netlify.com blog and add slug, add item slug current, and let's see what happens. Yeah, so here you have the whole URL. So that's how you resolve the external link in a query. And now we want to actually have this data in the rich text that we can do by going back to the page and add an internal link to marks. It acts the same way. It has children and mark. And we want to return a link element. It should be, let's say, mark URL to have the absolute URL that we made, and children inside like this, And here we have a new link, and this won't actually work, but if we try to open it, we can see that we have the URL that we made in the Grok query. That's pretty much it when it comes to how to add and how to render the links in the front end. The final thing I want to show you is how to customize the icon and how the external and internal links are actually rendered in the rich text editor. So let's minimize this and take a look at this editor. So what's cool is that you can use React components and stuff to override some of these parts in the rich text editor, namely the icons and whatever happens inside of this this text area. So the first thing we have to do is to import React so that we can use the JSX elements. So like this. And then these annotations have a property called block editor, which have an icon. So here we can say, for example, this is an internal link, so let's just use the link emoji like this. So here you can see that we have the link emoji. And for the external link, we just copy this, and here we can use the world emoji to show it is an external link. So here we have these two, and you can of course use SVG icons or whatever you prefer. And we can also control how these are rendered. Let's try that. So just to show you an example. So this is not what we want. We want to have this a span. What comes in here are children. So let's render those. But then we can add this world emoji, for example, to show that this is an external link, like this. So I'm not sure I would actually recommend putting emojis inside of these bands, because even though they are not actually added to the document, if you copy this text like this, the emojis will also be copied and pasted into wherever you paste it. But you could probably do something with CSS to prevent that from happening. But this is just a proof of concept to show you what you can do. That has been how to add internal and external links to the portable text editor in Sanity Studio, and how to render them with React. The serializer stuff is the same for Vue or Hyperscript or Markdown or whatever you choose to serialize portable text into. We have also swiftly looked at how to customize the editor in order to have custom icons and custom span rendering. Yeah, I look forward to seeing what you will do with this. So I hope this has been useful. Thanks for watching, and see you all in cyberspace.